Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Welcome to Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy. For too long now, our generally perceived poorly educated electorate have fallen victim to the cheap and inferior propaganda of those seeking to hold others captive under the guise of democracy. Gladly, the CDGG uses edification to help to actively pursue a sustainable approach to reorient our people towards the importance of electing and selecting people of good character to public life. Through edification, we will highlight the importance of education appropriate to our development, proper health care and facilities as our right, respect for law and order, not to mention upgrading our people's thinking so they could become qualified participants in the democratic process to their advantage. After all, Grenada's national constitution makes allowances for the ideal of free men to enjoy freedom from fear and want, which can be best achieved if conditions are created whereby everyone may enjoy his economic, social and political, civil and cultural rights.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Become a Pure Grenada Excellence Champion. The Pure Grenada Excellence Champion Program is a unique service excellence training initiative created to improve the quality and marketability of local service providers, better enabling the provision of exceptional experiences to locals and visitors alike. Continuing in September, these free customer service workshops, facilitated by yours truly, Eddie Frederick, are available for interested business operators and staff of tourism enterprises. Stay tuned for important updates. Or you can also visit www.puregrenada.com/excellence champion to take advantage of this training opportunity.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftop and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training, and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www EDDIE-FICATION.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks, wonderful, and welcome to this. Wow, we're in September. Could you imagine that? This is open season as it continues here on Edification. This, the first Sunday of September, I dare say. This is hump month for what has already been billed as an active hurricane season. We all have to be a lot more vigilant and keep our fingers crossed. Good? That we do not get a hurricane, because this kind of heat can only be followed by one. I mean, woo, it's been really, really tough. So we've got to keep our fingers close to the trigger of continued preparedness. Pull up your chair, sound the alarm as loudly as you can, and tell more people to come in and absorb the boldness and, of course, factual sharing available each week via Edification. As soon as you enter the room, as usual, indicate your presence, as some of you have already started to do, and please share. Like and comment as usual to make this as interactive as you usually do. We are happy to have you, so welcome. Now, last week, we had a snag with comments in context of settings, which did not allow many of you who wanted to comment the luxury of so doing, which of course you missed, and I missed you too, in terms of your comments. You can inbox me when this happens, so that I can be alerted to this particular development. So I will be able to fix it to accommodate your interactions. Because for some reason last week I recall doing a little bit of a rush. I was rushing a little bit. And in so rushing, I kind of lost out on the opportunity to sort of fix that situation. And hence, went on omitting to do it. And we had that little snag. So we don't want that snag to come up again. So just inbox me anytime something like that goes where you cannot comment live on the program itself. Just inbox me, because I have two other devices here that are very much on. And, my notifications are on, so I will be alerted. So please do that. I invite you to regularly tune in, and who have not yet followed my Eddie Frederick page on Facebook, I advise you to do so. Who have not yet, subscribed to my YouTube page, I also advise you to do so that you're in, like all the others who enjoy unfettered access. Our topic today is exciting, actually. When you change your expectation, you limit your frustration. Folks, think about it. Internalize that. And you realize how true that is. You remember some time ago I told you, when you remove emotions from other people's opinions that may not be favorable to you and things that you do. Hello? When you remove the emotions, you realize, oh, wait now, the opinions are just a collection of words, a word salad. Do not invest too much in it. In other words, when you change your expectation of people, you limit your frustration with them. It's as simple. So according to televangelist T.D. Jakes, we must expect people to be who they are. Because once you teach people who you are, you teach them what to expect. We would therefore not be disappointed, because we never expect above what you advertise. The many who advertised, they are fools. I expect to continue to be fools. When we therefore need a fool, we should not hesitate to call on such fools. As long as we have no desire for fools, we leave all fools where they are. No rocket science there. That's pretty straightforward. Nobody, folks, can promise you that they will not hurt you. That is the power of you being prepared for anything in life from anyone. Sometimes what you experience is not betrayal. It is what Dr. Harry Cloud calls dishonest inability. Sometimes the people with whom you forge relations honestly don't have the ability to give you what you need to feel secure. They just don't have it. Hello? Would you ever get rid of a dog because the dog could not fly? Would you ever get rid of a bird because the bird could not bark? That happens because, you see, a lot of us will tend to get rid of the dog because it cannot fly, get rid of the bird because it cannot bark, because of our expectations of these two creatures. You see how frustrated you will be when your expectations are not in sync with the capabilities of each of those animals? You must be a frustrated soul. You see, sometimes your trust issues and troubles are based on the apparatus that we expected out of somebody that they never had to offer. And that is precisely why you need to assess your life and find out, are you requiring something from somebody that they absolutely don't have the ability to deliver? As a wider society, folks, we are cursed with a plethora of low-level people who always are quick to get together to talk about other people. We also have some second-level people who, when they get together, they talk about events. While we suffer a stark shortage of high-level people and big-time people who, when they get together, they talk about ideas and the execution of ideas. How can we actually become a truly independent nation when we have so many bottom feeders who gravitate easily to the path of least resistance? And in their simplistic way of thinking, they bring this to bear on everything they do. These are the people who rise to low expectations. In fact, what a pity Grenada seemed to have been reduced to the level where a good employee will leave a good job for another that they deem to be better just because that new job pays $35 more per month. But that same employee did not realize that they would be spending $250 more per month to commute and traveling, which means that that employee is now operating at a monthly deficit of $165, or even more actually, because that is calculated on 200. Isn't that something? Come on, folks. We have to get with the program. I think it's actually $215. That's a little mathematical error there, folks. $215. But we have too many of that kind all around and about us these days. Their inability to analyze and process relegate them to the back always. But they are to be relegated to the back, but they're in the front, always volunteering to show their stupidity and inability to analyze and process. Some of these simplistic operators are in supervisory, management, and other leadership levels among us. Are you therefore surprised that such simplistic people are even on boards making mawet? And even though we are supposed to be in a transformative mode based on the policy and philosophy of the new administration, we are seemingly spinning around in circles. Why? The level of talent we have to work with in Grenada shows us up as a 50-year independent nation that has failed to present opportunities for our people to develop into citizens who can truly run their own affairs. A lot of people in Grenada need to be protected from themselves. A lot of people in Grenada need to be secured from themselves. They cannot even secure themselves or their own interests. I know of a certain people who are well qualified to be on boards. But you know what? They're not prepared to lend their support to these boards because of the reasons we are seeing ventilated about the possible reasons why a certain chairman of a certain board of directors recently tendered his resignation with immediacy. Decent people cannot handle this kind of crap because the majority of people surrounding them are the bottom feeders who are looking for something, you know. And if you stand in their way, they will frustrate you out. Whether we like it or not, volunteerism has been abolished in Grenada. We had all of 1995 to 2022, for the most part, to certify that statement as true. People ain't volunteering just so anymore. Everybody want a big money. If even they are like dregs in a cocoa tea that belong in the bottom, they want to be all over the top. Our experience has taught us that we can hardly find anyone who is prepared to be a part of any board today without being able to convert their membership into personal benefits. And so it's graft and bubble and corruption for so. But in Christian parlance, many of these, board members, whether in the past or currently, are continuing to seek first to gain the world and lose their souls in the process. You see, the last administration led by that old nastiness has actually turned all noble gestures into transactions. Nothing for nothing. And therefore, value for money is out the door. So when you change your expectation, you limit your frustration. Let's take a little break here now, folks, and we'll come right back for some more.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program. Become a Pure Grenada Excellence Champion. The Pure Grenada Excellence Champion program is a unique service excellence training initiative created to improve the quality and marketability of local service providers, better enabling the provision of exceptional experiences to locals and visitors alike. Continuing in September, these free customer service workshops, facilitated by yours truly, Eddie Frederick, are available for interested business operators and staff of tourism enterprises. Stay tuned for important updates. Or you can also visit www.puregrenada.com/excellence champion to take advantage of this training opportunity.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks, and welcome back. Somebody made a very poignant comment here, and I really like that, because that in itself tops off the color of language that I tend to use from time to time. Let me find it for you, because I want to give you their words. Brandon Lewis, he's saying a lot of people at the top operate as branch managers of colonialism. That's what you call the ones at the top. That is so true, because how they were programmed, so they proceed. They just cannot analyze, cannot think for themselves. They come with a formula that was bequeathed to them, and they're just dispensing that formula. No original thinking. No, oh God. And the few of us who have original thinking, what do he feel he know everything? Because they're programmed. They programmed them. Sad. But anyhow, we have a lot of turkeys to fry here today. Welcome back, folks. And for those of you just joining, welcome, welcome. Come on, share the live. As soon as you join, share the live. Let's get people edified, because there's just too much nonsense going around. You know, there's so many opportunities that we're missing just by virtue of our ability to be connected via the internet. We tend to gravitate to nonsense, things that cannot do anything for us, because we are more programmed to be entertained than we are to be edified. Good? So after nearly 30 years of dismantling and decimating our human capital infrastructure in Grenada, what do we find? The several who are out in the wilderness longing for their chance at the wheel, from the time they received their appointments, ooh la la sasu, it is quick time march to see what they can get also. When is that susu culture going to stop? It's my hand now. My hand to draw down, because your time done. Why are we not interested in the collective true north development of our country as a priority? Folks, because we use the internet and our, gadgets, our smart gadgets, for puerile and nonsense. Puerile nonsense. We are not even realizing what's happening in Africa. That the people of Africa are actually waking up in the various states and getting rid of these colonial ambassadors, these branch managers of colonialism, posing as presidents. There's one of a particular country, I can't even remember which one of those African countries. He lives in Switzerland and he's the president of that country. Could you imagine that? Now that's a man that needs to be publicly flogged, no matter which part of the world he is. He should be publicly flogged. Look at Ali Bongo of Gabon, that was just overthrown recently, a couple of days ago actually. It's in his son's house. They're finding stash of suitcases upon suitcases, billions of dollars. Come on, folks. Come on, folks. What are they, branch managers of colonialism? Doing the same goddamn thing the colonial masters did, but it's just their color doing it to themselves now. But we had that here. We had that here. And we have a little man ranting and raving in Parliament about approval for this, and this is the largest supplemental budget, forgetting that years ago there was a supplemental budget that was larger than that under him. But because he knows you're not paying attention, he could come and tell all you these rubbish. And you see how he look like them in Africa too? He has the DNA type, the phenotype, the look, everything. Folks, we need to stop that kind of man from running with country. Spit him out. Let him stay where he is, looking like the vagrant when you see him. Because he's status starved. He is nothing without the office. Absolutely nothing. Rubbish look better than him. Sad, that you could be speaking about a past leader that's supposed to be celebrated today as a grand old statesman who befits only the name of an old nastiness. Folks, that's an indictment on among you as a people, because among you are the ones who went out in your droves to support that nastiness. And when I call him by right name, all your vex. But remember, folks, I don't care. No man is an island. And so our island can never be truly developed if each of our citizens continue to think selfishly, as we were programmed to think by the corrupt practices of Grenada's longest serving post-independence administration, headed by the old nastiness that behaved in a true African despotic style while in office. Young people, pull up your goddamn chair and pay attention so that old nastiness cannot come around the precincts of power anymore to take you and abolish your future, as he has done to so many of your predecessor youth. A lot of them who are 40 and 45 today are on a slow march to the grave, not being able to accumulate, or to develop rather, not accumulate, but to develop and evolve into proper citizens. They still live in home, still rude to their mother and father because they feel they have a right and they're entitled to be there, when they are perpetual dependents today. That is the system of government presided over by the old nastiness. While he was enjoying power over all of them, they're lining up for their mess of pottage through an Imani program that has no end and no philosophy to develop them, because it has no end. The only thing they could have graduated to was debushing. The new youth going forward. Frown on that. You have a hope for a better future today, going forward. Trust me. All the people you hear screaming and clamoring, oh, victimization, and no, they can't even pack 10 proper words together to make a sentence. Rubbish. Only rubbish they're talking. They are also part of the decimated civilization that the old nastiness take and mash up. That is why they thought the mess of pottage they were getting is their survival. But folks, they are in the dependency quadrant of life. That's where they are. You don't want to follow them. They are nothing for you to follow. There are so many among us who easily surrendered their values for this mess of pottage over the years and are today counting their spoils as indications of their successes, only to discover that in the end, no one respects them. No one holds them in any high regard. They really have no goddamn substance at all, not even to hold the attention of the people they would like to think they have done better than among us. What do you say to that? Oh, Gid. And that is one of the chief reasons why disrespect is so rampant among us in this small society, because a lot of people are only reaping what they sow. Thieves sporting their ill-gotten gains, roaming our streets, posing as success stories, begging for recognition. All a part of the fake conspiracy to get many of us to gravitate towards glorifying them and criticizing the few real people who are toiling and toiling to make it. Folks, the very few who proceed to live by their own high standards, who refused to get absorbed by this evil system that polluted our little environment with state-sponsored corruption and utter nastiness, attempts were made to discontinue everything to do with them, marginalize them. In other words, all attempts were made to bury them. But what the buriers did not realize was that they were actually planting those few to develop strong foundations, to evolve into the very few in our society that the many are forced to respect, and serious contenders today for solid positions. Their consistency over the years separated them like wheat from chaff. What a pity people of substance are so few and scarce in our midst. You see, interestingly, some people who appeared to be opposed to the same thing these few of substance were all against are being vilified and maligned today just because the transactionaires can't have their way with them. You see, folks, we are going to see more resignations if something is not done to get rid of all those who have intention to fleece this already overraped and overpillaged country and its state bodies of scarce resources. For a small country with just under 100,000 people, Grenada has too many dishonest people who join the mindless to label our society as a Christian society. That is why I asked you weeks ago to tell me which part of Grenada is Christian, because I have been looking for that part quite some time now. It's a good thing I am wide awake, and thank God for his gifts of discipline, courage, commitment, not to mention, of course, wisdom and discernment to proceed undaunted. I tell you all already, I'm not on the market for friends. So I don't care who like me, just as much as I don't care who don't like me. Who don't like me, who like me, pff, same old thing. Because people like you as long as you sound like an echo to them, you know. Once you're not echoing them, privately they don't like you. There are lots of people listening to me now and subsequently, of course, who privately agree with me, but when they are with their groups to gain recognition and acceptance by their fake friends, they help to condemn me. Hello? I know. Some of them, just by their body language, you could see that if you only make that statement to them and accuse them of that, you're correct. It's a mess, huh? They're so transparent, you could see through them. I recall telling you from the beginning of this change that we should not tolerate exchanging one set of crooks for another. And that people like me would be prepared to stand in the gap to call them out. Old thief supposed to stop. We don't want no new thief. Old thief should be in the column of history. No new thief should be allowed to rise in this country. Not under the watch of the decent Mitchell. And a lot of us have to stand in the gap to protect the decent Mitchell from these people. And I'm not talking about elected officials on the government side. I'm more talking about functionaries selected and appointed by them to sit on boards and hold serious positions, whether in the public service or on statutory boards. My expectation did not have to change about some people because of their consistency at not being good people to begin with. That old nastiness I keep talking about, he ain't good and he ain't good long. He didn't start to not good now. He didn't good long. I am one who truly believes that if people knew better, folks, they would do better. The era when parents used to build children and set them forth with confidence, honesty, trustworthiness, and all the virtues that created a good citizen are long gone. What a pity. That is why we today live in an ogied society for the most part. You see how some parents go into schools to terrorize teachers about their good child, the little beast they make and they pelt out into the world to go and terrorize the world. I don't know why they don't keep these little beasts home. You create your beasts, hold your beasts in your factory, keep your beasts by you. They reach the point now where they're going in workplaces when these little beasts get work and they don't want to follow instructions and policies, guidelines, and the structure of the place. They're going to cuss out the manager or the owner. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? Children are now coming home from school and reporting to their mothers in this mostly single-parent homes that we have here for family setups that the teacher doesn't seem to like them. Our parents back then would have told us, don't say that, and immediately discourage that thinking. They would have gone on to advise that in life, not everybody is going to like you. So you better go and figure it out. Today's mothers will tell their child or children, well, let's go and get our teacher fired. I'm going to come down there to set that teacher straight. I don't understand. My kid is perfect. Did you imagine that? And then they expect everything to be all right with their child or children with that kind of display. Folks, with that response, you instill in that child's brain that the world should bend to them. A comedian once said, he gave a joke and most people laughed, and one person stood up and said, I don't like that. While everyone else is laughing though. This is comedy, lighten up. Now his reaction was to kick that person out of his show and give them a full refund. He continued by saying, someone had a seizure at the show and she got checked out by the paramedics. Everything's fine. And of course, she leaves with them. He proceeded to make fun of what happened and of course, the situation. A girl in the audience got up and said, you can't make jokes about that. That's not funny. He briskly asked what she did for a living, and she said she was an EMT. He got his opportunity to ask her, why didn't you help? Case in point, we complain and complain. We don't help. But yet we think complaining is enough. What are your expectations of a comedy show, folks? If you attend a comedy show, it's open season. If you don't have an open mind, stay home. It should be based on getting great satisfaction from the comedy on offer. You see, many of us set our expectations on people and activities and events without any proper context that is totally related to the people and activities and or events. That is when we set ourselves up for a major bout of frustration. As this comedian put it, while everyone was laughing, this EMT, who offered no help whatsoever to the sick person in the audience, insisted on choreographing how the comedy show should proceed. Folks, when you change your expectation, you limit your frustration. Isn't that beautiful? It doesn't take a rocket scientist for you to understand that, I imagine.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program. Become a Pure Grenada Excellence Champion. The Pure Grenada Excellence Champion program is a unique service excellence training initiative created to improve the quality and marketability of local service providers, better enabling the provision of exceptional experiences to locals and visitors alike. Continuing in September, these free customer service workshops, facilitated by yours truly, Eddie Frederick, are available for interested business operators and staff of tourism enterprises. Stay tuned for important updates. Or you can also visit www.puregrenada.com/excellence champion to take advantage of this training opportunity.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftop and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks, wonderful. So we are our third segment of this program today. Welcome to the newcomers. Welcome to those who are just joining us also. It's really a plum-pleasing pleasure to have all of you in the room. As soon as you come in, please continue to share. Let's get our people edified and inspired today, because there's just a lot of frankness to go around in this particular program today. You know, I see somebody saying here, they tell us your teacher is there to educate, not to be your friend. And that is so true. You see, I always say it is better, folks, that you make your business partner your friend, rather than you make your friend your business partner. You see, if you can analyze that simple statement, runs deep. It is something to process for you to understand. Because when you go into business with your friend, they start to take you for granted. But when you go to business with somebody else who is there for the same purpose like you, to make turnover a profit, and profit is what? Reward for risk taken. When the two of you are there for that purpose, to be rewarded for the risk you have taken to be in business, you have commonality of purpose already. It is likely you're likely to become friends. You are likely to become friends. But take your friend and go there. Oh gosh, I can't make it today. I'm feeling so good now. But I want the place to be profitable. You must do all the bull work. That's your friend, you know. You see, you went into business with the wrong partner. Folks, we see loads of people making posts on their social media page or pages, and other foppish people with loads of time on their hand and little sense in their heads, ready to confront them from the standpoint of taking offense to what's posted. Oh God, among your fast, fresh, forward, and front issue. What are you doing under the people page? That is why some of you feel their wrath before they block you or delete you. And some of us seem to forget that not all the people we grew up with dead. So some of these people have the files on you. So when you start to jump and want to take them on, and they come back at you with truths about you that you prefer nobody know, you're crying forward. Do you think social media was really made for that? I don't think so. I think it was made for discussion, dialogue, exchange. And if you can't handle it, keep scrolling. But some of you are the juju in you so much, they have to jump where you don't belong. And then people have to put you in your place in the most ordinary, as the Jamaicans say, in the most ordinary of ways. Ordinary, as the Jamaicans say, with an A. You see, your expectation of that person is that they fit into the little box that you yourself operate from. And so you show disdain for the broad-mindedness of that person making the post that they so willingly made. You see, folks, I respect everyone's post. If I don't like it, I keep scrolling. It is not in my place to jump into a person's sphere and take them on. Some people could tell you that privately, just pick this up. I would inbox them if I see a mistake, or if I see something that I believe a typo may have changed the sense of what they're trying to say. Oh yes, there are people who know I have done them that. Privately inbox them, but I will not do it publicly. Are we making any sense here? That's how you treat people. You treat people with respect, you get respect back. You see, such people with myopia are usually dominated by an aggressive original posters, or they get totally ignored. Some people go even further to delete and block such people. Extreme action they duly deserve. You see, too many of our people are stuck in their lazy holes of life, where their thinking is on fixed deposit with very little to no interest on offer, while the few whose thinking is on current account, always revolving, retooling, and gathering positive momentum, taking no prisoners, are challenged by these myopic minds. You hear such limited individuals who usually sport sometimes a master's degree of some sort, coming up with all sorts of defense to justify being in their holes and want to pull you in there with them. I recall the very outspoken Mr. Alan Biazinski, former chairman and managing director of Hubbard's. He said once to me, well, not once, on many occasions, that he was glad his parents did not send him to university because he may have come out as dense and stupid as many who went and returned home. Folks, that's a bold statement, but it's also true. It is in this comment that I was influenced to conclude that many of them who were so given this wonderful opportunity to return and be agents of change, meaningful change, in the way things are done, change it, let alone where the national conversation should be. They chose to return and instead join the bouncing low people in the lolly drain conversations, using loads of big words while still circling the drain. These people went away, well, but they didn't mix with other people. There was no cultural transmission taking place outside there for the 5 years, 8 years, or how many ever years they were in school. What's going on here? As soon as you reach back in Grenada, you catch it again, this drain syndrome, and you want me to believe you have a master's degree in truth? You can't analyze, you can't think. You're still jumping in conversations instead of changing the conversation. Folks, in a bad way, you know. You see Dr. Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in his earlier years in the office of Prime Minister, he referred to that as an elitism of ignorance. Oh, God save us from them, for Grenada is full of them. You see, folks, when you find yourself, some people will no longer like you. There are people who like you to be silent. There are people who like you not to have any opinion at all. There are people who like that you agree with them. They don't actually like you. They like your echo. Everything you say that they agree with, they like. Yeah. The minute you have an opinion different from theirs, then you will see if you are really liked. You see, such people just like themselves coming out of another voice. When you object to that, those same idiots think you are being dramatic and oversensitive. I invite each and every one of you to ascend to the level where you would realize that not everyone would get the same version of you. Recognize that there would be some who would say you're an amazing, beautiful soul, as would be attributed to me sometimes. While there would be others who would regard you as a cold-hearted son of a gun. Other people looking on and listening to such feedback, I'm advising you, whatever you hear from either side of the fence about me, believe them both, because I act accordingly. Any version of me you interpret is the correct version. You see, I tell you, I'm not on the market for friends. If at my age, I don't know who they are, I am retarded. And I know for sure I'm not. You see, the story is widely told of a man who was given a stone for which he was told to seek to know the value of, with strict instructions not to sell it. The man took the stone to an orange seller and asked him what its cost will be. The orange seller advised him, take 12 oranges and leave the stone with me. He apologized and said that he was told not to sell the stone. Further ahead, he went into a jewelry store and asked about the value of the stone. The jeweler looked at him, took the stone from him, looked at it through his lens and said, "Oh, I'll give you $50 for this stone." The man explained that he can't sell a stone. Further ahead, the man saw a precious stone shop, went in and asked the owner the value of the stone. When the precious stone seller saw the big ruby, he laid down a red cloth and placed the ruby on it. He walked in circles around the ruby. Then he bent down and touched his head over the ruby. "Oh my God. From where did you bring this priceless ruby?" he asked. "Even if I sell the whole world and my life, I will not be able to purchase this priceless stone." The man, of course, returned to the person who placed the stone in his care, asked him to find out how much it was worth, but he must not sell it. Of course, the guy was obedient. He told him of his experience, whereupon he was asked, "What did you learn from the 3 different responses?" You see, the answer he got from the orange seller, the jeweler, and the precious stone seller explained the value of life. You may be a precious stone, even priceless, but people will value you based on their level of information, their belief in you, their motive behind entertaining you, their ambition, and their risk-taking ability. But don't fear, you will surely find someone who can discern your true value. Stop selling yourself cheaply. Grenada is a factory for people who sell themselves cheaply. Broaden your own vision of yourself, folks. Expand the vision you have of yourself. You have sources of knowledge available to you that are also available to the few who take advantage of these sources and make meaningful progress in their lives. Why are you not embracing these opportunities? It is because you know discipline requires stick-to-itiveness and patience in order to gain momentum, and you don't have the patience for that. What is it? There's only one reason why as low as 5 in every 1,000 people the world over evolve into and give life to the personal growth and development in their lifetime. They are the few who are prepared to pay the price of responsibility. But what is responsibility? Hard driving, continual work, folks. The courage to make decisions about our futures. The honesty of never fooling ourselves about ourselves. You see, folks, the grooves that lead to the heights are not made between 8 and 4, 9 and 5. They are burnt in by the midnight oil. We have to learn to take responsibility for our failures and mistakes. A lot of us fail because we expect too much from people and things. You must recall me telling you very often that character is who you are, while reputation is what others think of you. When you think of it in truth, you have control over your character and absolutely no control over how anyone thinks of you. They are on their own. You see, if you truly understand this, you would have absolutely no doubt that with consistency, when you take care of who you are, your character, what others think of you, your reputation will take care of itself. You see, your job is not to change people's minds about you. Your job is not to make people like you. Your job is to run your own race, to be who you were called to be, and not worry about the critics and the naysayers. Who you are will cause the right people to like you. Always remember, folks, the right people will always be few. But the word right sums it all up. Once you have the right people on your side, listen to me carefully, folks, to hell with the multitude of wrong people. Your consistency at being who you are, as long as you do not harm anyone in the process of being consistently who you are, has the power to convert naysayers, one person at a time. I have had that experience and continue to have that experience. People are where they are right now in life because of either their lack of knowledge or their expanse of knowledge. We were all once at the stage of lack of knowledge, and our decisions would no doubt have been impacted by our limited thinking. You know how many people who hated my expanded view on things at one point or another, who have today been converted because of their expanse of knowledge, some of whom had to have had a bad experience to graduate to the point of appreciating what I was speaking about all the time. For those of you who are at the point where you hate my opinions, you hate how I deliver, you hate what I deliver, there's still some time for you. Sometimes we have to have our own experience to be shamed into accepting the free advice we were privy to all along and refuse to accept because of who such advice was coming from. You see, one of the best things I learned a long time now from the very wise woman who mothered and fathered her 5 bastard children, of which I was one. I am one. Everybody is not supposed to like you. Everybody is not supposed to approve of you. That is sound advice, you know, folks. Some people are ordained by the master of the universe to not be for you. So just accept that not everyone is going to accept you. And that's their loss. Just move on and keep pressing on with your focus and purpose in life. Folks, I have 2 regular telephone friends. 2. And when I say 2, it's almost every day. Every day. You think I have time for more? Joke you're making. And these people I consider close. Close. You should be the fly on the wall to hear what we talk about. We talk very open and honest stuff with each other. You see, life is short. I don't know how many times we need to hear that. We would be dead for far longer than we were ever alive. So the sooner we get things done is the longer we will get to enjoy life with the people that we love the most. Yes, those few quality people you were blessed to have in your life. Those few right people that God has blessed you with. You see, when you change your expectation, you limit your frustration. Let's take a final break here and we'll come back for a final segment.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program. Become a Pure Grenada Excellence Champion. The Pure Grenada Excellence Champion Program is a unique service excellence training initiative created to improve the quality and marketability of local service providers, better enabling the provision of exceptional experiences to locals and visitors alike. Continuing in September, these free customer service workshops, facilitated by yours truly, Eddie Frederick, are available for interested business operators and staff of tourism enterprises. Stay tuned for important updates. Or you can also visit www.puregrenada.com/excellence champion to take advantage of this training opportunity.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to take safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops with other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. Eddie Frederick.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, as we go into our final segment here, folks, I just want to welcome the latecomers because we have a couple of them. And beg of you to, or remind you rather, to share the live as you come in. And keep moving. Remember, I said you can go, you can follow Eddie Frederick. That's because I have the public page, Eddie Frederick. Follow that page. You can also like it. You can subscribe to the YouTube page, which has just about everything that I would post from time to time. So just keep connected, folks. Keep connected. It's all about you and your personal edification. So welcome back. Folks, I learned over the years that one of the most dangerous things you can be in life in these modern times is to be honest. When you are honest, the system works against you. You're filling out a form to give a financial institution important data on whom they are actually going to be transacting business with. And if for the most part you tell the truth, the real truth about your current situation, watch me good, you will not get through. You're registering a child for a school that is out of their district. You have to concoct something that would make the school believe that you are living in that district to qualify that child to actually attend that school. When you tell the truth, the system will be manipulated against you. Yet for all on a wider basis, you are told honesty is the best policy. Now, while you are told this, as forcefully as they try to convince you that they are sincere, you are actually seeing with your own eyes that dishonesty is what leads to material prosperity among many. That does not mean you have to follow them, because a lot of these dishonest people's prosperity tend to be short-lived. You see them going down the downward spiral and they can't do anything about it because the foundation on which their material gains were built, sandy soil. Thiefing. Thiefing. If it's thief, they're thiefing. When things fall out, what will happen? The bottom of the box must fall out. You see, dishonesty caused us as a nation to punch way below our actual weight. And even as we speedily approach 50 years as an independent state, we continue to punch way below our actual weight. Imagine you have ambassadors from hell, supportive of the devil, the old nastiness that we just kick out, who don't even understand that what they were part of was the destruction of Grenada. They have no concept that what they were integral to was the decimation of Grenada. Because had that old nastiness gotten this additional term, Emma, we done. Grenada would have done. Grenada would have finished. Folks, the master of the universe has given us a wonderful opportunity to reverse the ills of the last almost 30 years under that old nastiness. You see the venom, the vitriol. There's a leader. Look at behavior in parliament. There's a leader. You all want to line up behind that? Not that, you know, that. You see all your bunks, all your head? Look at the disciples that are spouting hate, rubbish, lies. We're not even misinformation, because you can't put information near to anything, any, you know, prefix. Because it's not information. It's just total garbage. Because you see, the dregs in the cocoa tea are about to be put where they belong, at the bottom, to settle. And they can't handle that. Because for the last 30, almost 30 years, the dregs was all over the place playing Juve. Every day was Juve. Juve done. And you decent people who rose up and moved from the non-voting quadrant to the voting quadrant, you better stay awake. Because you realize how many disciples of hell the devil was able to convert. And when you don't vote, it's a recipe for 15 back to hell, in other words. You better stay woke and do your civic duty to help align the younger people to be able to take this country forward. Have something to inherit once and for all. You see, the reason why we will continue to turn our collective prosperity on its head year after year is because we continue to select cats to watch our freshly cut jacks. And as Professor Lumumba of Kenya would say, we allow hyenas to take care of our sheep. One scenario that comes to mind currently is our forgiving Prime Minister's deep-rooted belief in inclusiveness, which is being taken for granted by saboteurs and otherwise stupid people who are squandering their opportunities to rise to the occasion and become true professionals, working in the interest of the nation and not unto themselves and their old out-of-timing master. Folks, Bernard Cord, in his second book, has a chapter that actually speaks to the professionalism of 3 public servants, 2 very senior and 1 administrative assistant. Patty Linton, who was George Hostin's personal assistant, secretary they used to call them back then. He inherited her because George Hostin was his predecessor, Minister of Finance. And from day one, he just picked up a vibe that he could have confidence in her. Why? She was a professional. She didn't find it necessary to bring news for George Hostin. Granted, he was in jail. Didn't live too much longer after he came out and migrated anyway. But the message here, folks, is clear. She was a professional. But what about Gloria Payne Banfield? What about Laurie Wilson Jr.? Lauriston Wilson Jr.? These were two people who were known, widely suspected, and I believe known to be sympathetic to the Eric Gary administration. But they were consummate professionals. Of course, their first feeling was to ease them out. But these people came with institutional memory. These people came with a lot of knowledge. But the PRG was not a government to mess with in any case. But there was just what a conjoining of niceness that took place there. The professionalism in these two and the serious no-nonsenseness of the PRG. They both converged. And what happened? Laurie Wilson didn't find it necessary to see how he could sidestep the tape recorder at the Grenada Telephone Company to keep Gary abreast with what's going on in the ministry or in Grenada. Neither did Gloria Payne Banfield, because these two people were consummate professionals. They were not these people who not even qualified to be a class 2 clerk, that the old nastiness take and heave them from down there to up there. The kajam must be hurting them because that had to be a serious jump. All of them kajam still hurting them. First they jump far and fast. So they must feel beholden to the old nastiness, because they started off not having any good in them. They were not properly rooted. They were not programmed to be professionals in the first place. And that is why I say the human capital infrastructure of this country was decimated by that old nastiness. And I make no apologies for calling him so. That is his right name, because that was his nature. You're vexed, go and read the text. I tell you, all is open season, you know. I am sure the disciples of the old nastiness, sorry they rile me up now. This is vintage Eddie here. Vintage Eddie. It was really sorry. And I don't care one and all you say, because you can't say nothing new. You just have to regurgitate all the old stupidness you'll be talking. Isn't that beautiful, folks? You see, folks, only person who does not seem to know that you are anointed to be over the people you choose to follow is you. You put too much importance on the ones you erroneously follow, whom you stupidly call your leaders. If among you get conscious enough, sit back for a minute, curb your enthusiasm, take a look at that old nastiness now. You're supposed to be ashamed of yourself that you followed him. because he is his true self now, totally unqualified, even from a cosmetic point of view, to be in the position that you held him in. Far less character-wise and all otherwise. Go look at him today without power. Go look at him today without power. A vagrant with a Rolex. A vagrant with a Rolex on. Among your vex, among your business. But I just have to keep class here active. Active. You see, that says a lot about you and your insufficiency and lack. If we are serious about being Christians, and we truly believe that, we ought to know that we were born to be at the top, not the bottom. The head, not the tail. Victors and not victims. The devil we keep hearing about is represented by our tendency towards the path of least resistance. And so, it is much easier for us to remain in our insecurity, in our trauma, in our past, than to get out, and once out, stay out. You see, folks, it is more difficult to be promoted. And a lot of us have no time for that because that is too much work. So we remain and still expect to enjoy the spoils of the few hard working among us. Beg, beg, beg. You see, I'm sure you know people who are so engrossed in their trauma that when the promotion comes, they talk about the pain. You see, but in the scriptures that lots of you love to quote, from the Bible that lots of you love to tote, you don't see that Daniel needed to get over all that he went through. Because when the moment comes, you better be ready. You see, the moment of truth came for lots of Grenadians on 23rd June 2022. And that moment caught a lot of people by surprise. The people who lost power were not ready for the loss and are today traumatized. Oh, Jesus. For all we know, they may be in a state of trauma for the rest of their lives, bringing on early grave, for all you know. The people who prayed for the change and received it, that's another story. The majority were not truly prepared. You see, I learned a long time now. It is better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Folks, COVID was almost 3 years, a period of shutdown, slowness. And what did I do during that period? Oh yes, I had a lot of time on my hands. Not anything much to do. What was I doing? Preparing myself for the next side of COVID. Consciously. So what was I doing? Refreshers. New courses. Because everything was online. So I got the opportunity to milk it. And you know what? A lot of places were offering free workshops, free webinars, free this, free that. I plugged in. What did you do? Bite your fingernail. Wonder when we gonna get out of this. Oh God, panic. Hold your head. I can't think now. Folks, we have to always remember when we are going through a tunnel, it might be long. We must never turn back. We must never be so negative that when we see lights at the end of the tunnel, we doubt ourselves and say, no, that must be an oncoming train. No, it's the light at the end of the tunnel. Keep moving, folks. Keep moving. What did you do in your downtime? You should have been preparing yourself, because up was coming. Folks, life is like this, life is cyclical. You go up, you come down. So COVID was, it must have plateaued. So then what happens now? But you weren't prepared. You're bawling while you're going down. Oh God, Lord, what can they do me? And whatnot. What happens, You're on the way up. And some of you still below there because you can't muster the strength to be on the way up now because you never prepared yourself. You see? An administration came on the campaign motto of forward. Moving forward. We all didn't take them seriously. Folks, words are not just words, This country has been longing to move forward. There was a demonic yoke over this country for a long time. And all of you religious junkies who just religious, slaves to religion, but no real belief, no real philosophy. Okay, just mawet, just old feckin' nonsense. The greatest gossipers are the greatest churchgoers. They know everybody business. They talk everybody business. They about talk everybody. And it is so sad. It's so sad. You see, too many people in Grenada give life to the parochial saying, you ain't ready yet. When are we going to be collectively ready? We can only be collectively ready when we take the I that many love to refer to when they are speaking about things that require them to say we out of the equation and replace it with we or us. You see, Grenada is a state with a population, and we have to re-language ourselves to talk collectively instead of individually, as we tend to. When we think seriously about life, we will realize that we have been getting over stuff since stuff started happening. I always ask people, where are the problems you had last year? Time absorbed some of them. Some of them became irrelevant on their own. Because time, folks, in case you don't know, is the enemy and the best friend. But our trauma keeps us in the basement when we were born with gifts designed for the rooftop. We all have been through stuff, folks. We all have cried tears. We all have been betrayed. In spite of it all, some of us have made it because it is not what we have been through. It is what we are going through as we keep pressing towards the mark of victory in our lives. Look at the many that we know among us who do not have a concept of enough. Greed is killing a lot of our people who seem never to be in a better position for all they accumulated through their avarice. They will never have enough if they have no real purpose in life. We live among too many people who are status-driven, whose very lives do not reflect real substance. And so the more they are exposed to is the less satisfaction they manifest. Some people need to be in the limelight in order to be somebody. The old nastiness. When their limelight status is removed, they are seen to be naked. You know, the emperor has no clothes. And then they become status-starved and frustrated. And you know, their behavior depicts frustration. Save and except for the suits they may wear when they are up to create a false image of themselves while in the limelight. You don't want to see them out of the limelight. A man recently related a story for me regarding meeting a certain man who fits that description in a village shop, looking all ragsy and really lowly. He did not expect to see him there, And so the extraordinariness of this man caused him to not even recognize him at all. When this man received what he asked the shopkeeper for and turned around, he saw who he was and was so shocked that nobody was making a fuss over him. He was totally ignored to the point where he had to say to him, "But wait now, is Judah there? Look how you come now, man. I never thought I'd see you looking so. With them big time vehicles and all these security men." He said these are not things he planned to say to the man, but they just naturally came because that man had lost touch so much that he would never have expected him to be seen in that area at all, far less to be looking all stripped and disheveled. You see, that kind of comment could never be ascribed to truly humble people who remain grounded. We all suffer moments of depression and self-doubt from time to time. Modesty and humility can be the result of such moments. And these two important characteristics are qualities of great people. Little tin gods are not capable of these. In their down times, they appear to be humbled. But as soon as they're able to regain any form of status again, they are back to the old nasty ways. You see, humble people are ambitious, but never greedy, and consequently make the best friends and the noblest of leaders. You see, we are all witnessing people among us who are properly schooled to level those above them down to themselves, while they are never willing to bring those below them up to their own positions. Just look at the behavior and conduct of men and women who would like the population to call them honorable this and honorable that, and see what they are displaying today while attempting to actively finish off the very little regard we have left for our parliament and even governance on a whole. You see, when expressing true humility, folks, we ought to be willing that all should rise just as far as their diligence and worth of character entitle them. And on the other hand, we ought to be willing that our superiors should be known and acknowledged in their place, and have rendered to them all the honors that are their due. We know too many people who confuse humility with humiliation, and so they tend to put self first ahead of everyone else. Even when in a position of leadership, humility leads to strength and not to weakness, and causes one to admit mistakes and make amends for them. The first test of a truly great person is his or her humility. What is the purpose behind your life now, folks? There is an author who said, in order to be happy, you must have something to do, faith. Something to look forward to, hope. And someone to love, love. So happiness is not having a car, a job that you are not capable of doing, money in the bank that you obtained as a hyena who was placed to watch sheep. Happiness has got to be beyond stuff, pleasure, things, and money. Because just look at those same people whom you used to think of as all that when they were basking in authority, and you will see for yourselves how much of nothing they really are when they are stripped of their trappings of glitz and glamour. You see, folks, we have to give people a reason to want to give us something we really want, which must come from a place of making them happy to do so. When it comes from a place of negotiation, when the other person feels that he or she has lost something, you need to couch it and frame it in a way that they feel they have gained something instead. And so, If two people are across a table of a negotiation, whatever one gives, he or she has lost. But if one can say, you know, you have been doing so well and your performance has been off the charts, but you know what I would love to see? X, Y, and Z. All of a sudden, it would be like a shift of you sitting on the same side of the table as me, and now I'm trying to help you inspire other thoughts that are also aligned with what I want. That's a great way to get more of what you want that benefits the other person as much. You see, tactical empathy speaks to making the other person feel you want the best for them. Not that you want to rape them and deprive them of everything and turn them into a poor and vulnerable. You see, that is what real leaders do, folks. They convert you and you're thinking. They promote you, not curse you out and manipulate you and turn you into permanent dependence, just to hold power over you. Folks, this one life we have been given is for us to make the best of it. It is never too late to make the rest of our lives our best. There are three attributes that differentiate us from the rest of people in this world. The first thing is focus in life. I see Andy Williams talking about focus. Stay focused. Folks, you all are too easily distracted. Stay focused. If you're able to put your entire energy, please let it cause you to focus on the work that you are involved in currently. You can achieve tremendous results. Love what you do and truly do what you love. The second attribute is clarity of thought. The world is full of information and we are bombarded by it from all angles. If you are able to think through, if you are able to bring clarity in your mind, if you are able to think clearly, you will be far ahead of anybody else. And the third attribute, very importantly, persistence. No solution in life comes in 1, 2, or 3 days. It's very easy for people to get disheartened, lose initiative and energy and leave their task. But those who persist, those who stand by their principles, those who think clearly, those who are focused on what the work is requiring, those are the people who really, really, really make it and make it very big in life. Folks, when you change your expectation, you limit your frustration. I'm in, I'm out. And just before I actually am gone, allow me to bring you in step with modernity. Because a lot of you are not using your smart devices to join the right groups, subscribe to the right news agencies that are alternative to Western news agencies, so you can balance them off. In spite of how easy it is for the many of you who are programmed to not pay attention to the things that really matter in life, and are easily moved to focus on taking pictures of yourselves, your meals, your inauthentic things that you get yourself involved in all around you, that you crave to be integral to your real life, while you put out a fake and false image of yourselves. Folks, you can't take that to the bank. You cannot pay your rent with that. You're taking up too much of your energy, too much of your life's energy, doing all these fake nonsense. And you're losing out big times in your own life. There are developments on the world stage, folks, which are actually taking place that can absorb us all if we proceed along our current nonchalant path. Minding other people's business will not secure for you your heart's desires. Bad talking others will not get you to any desirable promised land. Continuing to lack discipline and courage will only show you up as pawns in this game of life. The situation in the world, folks, is about to get even worse as our small economies are pegged to the US dollar. Inflation is about to soar in the US when the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, consolidate their economic power with the strategic inclusion of others, which have already started to make up 46% of the world's population and more economic might than the Western world of the US, Canada, and Europe put together. Pay attention, folks. The US dollar is already forecast to be worth 55. Sorry, it takes 55, $1 US. 55, sorry, US dollars to get one brick dollar. You see when we juxtapose it, what is happening? But our money is tied to the US, 2.67. So if it will take 55 US dollars to make one brick, what is going to happen to us, folks? Remember, we was trade with China, you know? Most of the things that are around imported are from China. How are you buying those things? Because it would be at $147.44 EC to one brick. Too many of us follow the unconscious flow of consuming and consuming and consuming without realizing the implications for such nonchalance. If we do not make a concerted effort to start to eat what we grow and grow what we eat, inflation, which is already in the clouds, will end up for us in the heavens, far beyond our reach. Consumerism needs to be curbed in us so we can just survive. Habits need to change if we are to survive. Our focus needs to be repositioned by our resilience through innovation. Goodly folks, this discussion needs to be led by our policymakers and leaders throughout our regional societies. And we all need to be on the same page for fear that we sink apart. Because if we are together, we will swim together. But if we continue to remain apart, we will surely sink apart. If we keep on doing what we are doing in the face of a rapidly changing world, our goose will be cooked even more. We will not survive this round. Laziness and begging will not be the answer to our worsening situation. We have to become a nation of workers and thinkers. Our education system has got to be changed, scrapped, and replaced to make our people able to think critically in context of our own survival, while enabling all of us to truly change our habits and way of life to weather the storm. This is just a warning that if we heed by invoking our proactive nature, we will not end up in regret while reacting. I'm gone, folks. Thanks for joining. Thanks for giving me zest today to deliver with gusto. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Continue to share, See you next week, God willing, for regular programming. Until then, I invite you to stay safe, stay well, and remain forever lifted. Remain forever lifted.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Welcome to Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy. For too long now, our generally perceived poorly educated electorate have fallen victim to the cheap and inferior propaganda of those seeking to hold others captive under the guise of democracy. Gladly, the CDGG uses edification to help to actively pursue a sustainable approach to reorient our people towards the importance of electing and selecting people of good character to public life. Through edification, we will highlight the importance of education appropriate to our development, proper health care and facilities as our right, respect for law and order, not to mention upgrading our people's thinking so they could become qualified participants in the democratic process to their advantage. After all, Grenada's national constitution makes allowances for the ideal of free men to enjoy freedom from fear and want, which can be best achieved if conditions are created whereby everyone may enjoy his economic, social and political, civil and cultural rights.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Become a Pure Grenada Excellence Champion. The Pure Grenada Excellence Champion program is a unique service excellence training initiative created to improve the quality and marketability of local service providers, better enabling the provision of exceptional experiences to locals and visitors alike. Continuing in September, these free customer service workshops, facilitated by yours truly, Eddie Frederick, are available for interested business operators and staff of tourism enterprises. Stay tuned for important updates. Or you can also visit www.puregrenada.com/excellence champion to take advantage of this training opportunity.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftop and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. Hiring the right people with the right attitude and mindset is where to start. Even if you did not get it right through your current hiring methods, we can help develop the right mindset for your current employees. If you think training is expensive, try not training, and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has